This is section 2 of the periodic table lesson. This section is about sections in the periodic table. Okay, first of all, we're going to show you the different sections of the table, and it's easier in this assignment if you use this option. If you printed out a copy or obtained one if you can in class of this periodic table drawing board, and then as we use the PowerPoint you can mark this up in different colors and highlight the sections of the periodic table. So I strongly recommend that you do this if you're on the online version of the course. If you're in the in-class version, then we would do this together as a group. Okay, so first, these areas of the periodic table. This first row here, I should say column, not row, is called the alkali metals. The second column or family is called the alkaline earth metals. Notice that the alkaline earth metals are less reactive. That's some of the trends we're going to talk about in this lesson eventually. All right, over here on this side of the periodic table, this is the halogens. You've probably heard of halogen light bulbs, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, etc. And then this last column is the noble gases. Okay, the metals. These are the metals in the periodic table. Notice hydrogen is kind of on the metal side, but it's not really considered a metal because it's unique behavior. We'll talk more about that in the hydrogen lesson. All right, so this section is the metals. This section is the non-metal, so you should pause the tape now and circle these two areas of the periodic table. And then there's a section in between here, between the metals and the non-metals. All right, we'll talk about it in a minute. And then if we have the noble gases over here. Now, back to this in-between section. This in-between section is known as the metalloids. And let's clear up the board so you could see this a little better. So this here is the metalloids. Okay, next let's look at an area of the table called the transition metals. This valley here is known as the transition metals. And this section down here also transitions. More specifically, they're known as the inner transition metals. Okay, the lanthanide series. All right, this series here, beginning with lanthanum, is the lanthanide series. Then we have the actinides. Same thing. That's the actinide series in the row below. Alright, now naturally occurring elements. These are the ones that you can find in nature. They're all the elements in order up till 92 uranium. Those are the naturally occurring elements. Now the man-made elements are the rest of the elements in the periodic table. Now, the representative elements, that's very important. A lot of assignments will tell you you have to do something with the representative elements, not the whole table, just the representative elements. They are these two families over here and these families over here with the nonmetals and metalloids and noble gases and some metals. So those families or groups. Okay, notice in general the elements on the left side of the periodic table, that's the S block here and D block here, right? They have metallic properties. D metals and the S block metals have metallic properties. All right. These over here, meaning mainly up here in this section here, the non-metals have non-metallic properties. Of course, there are metalloids, which can have non-metal properties and metal properties, and there are some metals over here. But generally speaking, right side, non-metal, left side, metal. That's the P block. All right, the F block is down here. If you remember your lesson on electron configurations, well, this F block is because it's in that section of the periodic table where the F electrons are being filled up. All right, here's an optional assignment to find a complete list of electron configurations for all the elements. All right, so it's optional. You're probably from one in your textbook or online. It's a good reference to have, and if you're in one of my classes that are making a reference book, you should definitely put this in your reference book. Okay, that concludes section 2 of the periodic table.